Hey everybody, I'm here with Peter Steiner. He will be one of the soloists this year at the International Trombone Festival. He's a Bach performing artist. Hello, Peter.
Hello there. Nice to see you. It's been very, very
Nice to
long.
see you. It's going to be so fun. Again, this is July 13th through 16th at the University of Central Arkansas campus.
Be there.
So, do you know what you're doing this year? I know it's early still. What you're playing, what you're doing?
Well, I'm super excited. We are going to play, when I say we, that means Constanze and I, we're going to perform a recital. This time it's going to be just piano. On the last ITF that we performed that, it was a mix of piano and organ. This time we'll just play a pure piano recital with just new music material that we've put together now over COVID. A lot of exciting pieces, a lot of very, very challenging but beautiful music. So we are super excited to perform that recital. We might tie that recital together a little bit, maybe with a presentation of a new CD. Who knows? We will see. And then other exciting things, the All-Stars, I'm playing with that group, which is very fun. I'm going to solo with them, but also join them in the ensemble. And then throughout the festival, I'll be soloing with a couple of choirs. So that I'm very much looking forward to playing with the students.
You have a new CD coming out?
Oh, maybe. I'll just leave it to that.
Maybe.
Let's say maybe.
Wow.
Who knows?
You're very busy with recording.
Yeah, we enjoy doing it. It's just something that we have started now during COVID, especially in particular. Before COVID, we already released a couple CDs, but now we really got into it. We really enjoyed doing it. And, we have been also before we've been together every day, but now we were locked together for 2 years pretty much. So we had a lot of rehearsal time, a lot of time to practice together and to do exciting things. So we got into recording and we really much enjoyed that. So I think even post-COVID, we will keep doing that a lot just because we simply enjoy it. So that's why I say, who knows? We will see if the time allows for a new release.
What kind of music are you guys into playing now? Is it new music? Is it new commissions, pieces for other instruments? What are you kind of?
I think it's a wide variety of pieces. We start our recital with a very I would say challenging trombone piece. It was originally written for trombone. I'm not going to drop names here just because I want to keep it still on the side that people don't know what we're going to play. But that's a really challenging but show trombone piece, which is very fun. And then we go to the biggest standard, the David Concertino, which we're going to play on this tour. We're not sure yet if we're going to play that ITF. But, just a wide variety. Trombone standards, new original pieces for trombone. We also have a new commission, a fantasy by Emily Horton. We've also started to arrange quite a bit of music. So there will be some cello music in there, some violin music, some dance from an orchestral suite. So I think a variety of different genres and picked from different instruments, but also original works for trombone.
When you approach a piece like the David, this is a piece that has been performed so many times, in the same way. So what is your approach to a piece like that to make it your own?
That's a very good question. First of all, give myself enough time away from the piece, which I really had to do on the David, It's a piece that I had to prepare often in my studies. Also, already before my studies, I was confronted with that piece when I was 16 or so. At that time, I played it for fun. Probably I should have not started to play it for fun so early. But
I feel the same way.
That was it. And, then you prepare for auditions, you work on it on your studies, you work on it for competitions and stuff. So it's been a big part of the trombone route in general. So I had to take some time off the piece, playing it, practicing it. And for some reason also I didn't teach it for a while. So I didn't hear it for a while, which was good. And then after, I would say 3.5 years, I decided, okay, I'll do it again. And actually the push came from Constanze. She really enjoyed the piece and she wanted to perform it. I initially was against it because of the obvious fact that we have played it all so often. But if I step away just a second and I look at the piece, not from my perspective, which is the perspective that I've heard it and played it a million times, but from the perspective of just observing objectively the piece, it's a very, very good piece. It's probably one of the best pieces actually written for us. That's why it's the standard. Um,
Right.
and there I found some new places that I fell in love with the piece that I didn't see before, didn't hear before, or maybe just neglected when studying them. But I found definitely new love for the piece now that I played also in my own way. Before it was always I kind of had to fit into a style. When you please an audition committee or you please a competition committee. Now it's my version. I go out there, I play our recitals, and we just produce our version, which is very fun. I really enjoy playing the standards in our version without thinking too much if I am going to offend anybody in the audience. I want them to fall in love with the piece again. So that is the main goal.
If anybody can do it, it's you. Yes,
Thank you.
bringing kind of new life to these pieces, and you've definitely made waves in that way. And to that, did you always feel at home on stage, or is this something that happened kind of in your early 20s that you felt more comfortable being alone on stage rather than in the back of an orchestra?
I think starting with, I always enjoyed being alone there. In my youth, I did
Yeah.
a lot of competitions by myself, or not just by myself, with piano always, and I really enjoyed that. That was just until pretty much Juilliard. That was my main thing, playing solos, doing
Hmm.
competitions, and doing things like that. I played quite a bit already before going to Juilliard with wind bands, just regional ones, but I played with them, which was fun. So I always enjoyed it. I think then during the Juilliard times, I was focusing very much on the orchestral side of things, and that was my path that I wanted to pursue. And I have to say, maybe at that point, I felt a little bit less comfortable being there by myself on stage because you get so
Yeah.
used to playing with others, matching others. And as a
Hmm.
trombonist, you have to have more of a radar rather than putting yourself out there all the time, musically speaking, in an orchestra setting. So after I decided to focus a little bit more on solo playing again, it started to become second nature again and feel comfortable. And yeah, I very much feel comfortable there, especially when it's with Constanze. We just walk out. It's like it's our living room. We just every stage in the world we kind of make our own living room, which is just very comforting.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. I think for me, my biggest asset on stage is making an audience feel comfortable, even just talking to them. And I found that you kind of have that as well. This kind of I feel like a lot of people get on stage and they just say what they have to say to get to the playing.
Yeah.
How do you approach that side of it? The in between, the cultivating
Yeah.
the audience and getting them on your side.
Well, I've been to so
Okay.
many concerts myself where I was sitting there and there was kind of this wall between the audience and the performer.
Hmm.
And just from that experience, from being on the other side, probably too often helps me to have a different look occasionally on things that we do on our stage. So I just try to make everybody feel as comfortable as possible in the hall. They're there hopefully to enjoy themselves and to enjoy our music making. I try not to think too much that they are there to see us miss notes or be very critical
Right.
about things. I just I people come to concerts to enjoy themselves and to be entertained. So I think the entire thing has to be a little bit entertaining from beginning to end. So it shouldn't just be playing. Yes, the playing is the
Right.
main part, which has to be the most entertaining part, because if you are not good at the playing part, there shouldn't be too much speaking involved. um, so first of all, I always try to let the playing do the speaking. But
Mhm.
overall, it has to be an experience for the audience. So presenting pieces, talking about our lives, and just the audience getting to know us over the course of an hour or 2 hours that they spend with us. We want them to leave the room happy and know a little bit more about us, know a little bit more about trombone, about the literature, and just have a good time.
You seem to be, like I said, very, very comfortable, and you make the audience very comfortable. What is the most nervous you've been on stage as a professional?
Oof, really can't pick any moment that sticks out in, kind of nervousness. And there's just so many. It's very hard to pick. It just comes. It's still happening. I'm departing onto an US tour this week, so I will definitely be very, very nervous for the first couple of concerts on that tour. I cannot pick a moment. It's part of the job. It's part of the deal that we sign up to go on stage and deal with that, which is fun. So I rather look at the moments where I enjoyed myself rather than the moments where I was a little bit afraid of going out there and just doing what I do.
Do you kind of enjoy some of that aspect of it too, though? I mean, it is part of it. I usually say I don't get nervous anymore, but I guess it really is just you learn what that feels like, and you're less uncomfortable with that feeling.
Yeah, I think you learn how to deal with it. You learn how to incorporate into your playing, how to make your playing better, maybe. Not just always think about it in a worse way, but maybe spiral it around and use it as a positive energy rather than negativity. I think definitely over time it becomes, you learn how to handle it, or you learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But to me, at least until now, it has not disappeared, which I very much enjoy. I hope it will never disappear. If it disappears, then it's very, very boring. And back to your opening of the question, yes, I love it. If it's not there, then it's very, very boring. That adrenaline, that little tickle in the entire body before you go out. I feel it now. I'm just talking about it. It's there. Yeah. So no, if it wouldn't be there, then it would not be fun.
So now go to the other side. A piece that you've played 1,000,000 times. You can play it in your sleep, but it doesn't have anything particularly out of your comfort range playing wise. What are you trying to think about? What's the voice inside your head trying to do? I mean, because obviously it can think of other things. It can think about dinner. It can do that, and you try to silence that. Yeah. What are you trying to focus on?
I always try to sing in my head while I play. Just be always a little bit ahead of what you're playing in your mind. In order to not get too distracted thinking about dinner or thinking about who's in the audience or, whatever is affecting you at that moment. I try to give myself a lot of commands while I play, commands in the way of keep singing, keep phrasing, phrase there, think about the piano here. Even though most of the literature I play soloistically is memorized, I still give myself commands all the time, where to phrase and just, little things like that. That way I always stay engaged and I cannot get distracted by whatever is happening. Stay positive and just always keep the commands going.
So take me back to little Peter Steiner and Bolzano. What were you listening to? Who were your musical icons?
Well, that's a good question because it's just so easy to answer because it's everything I was dreaming of back then is what I do now. I just basically I'm living my dream. So everything I listened back then was what I still listen to. It was very trombone heavy, very brass band heavy, a lot of Joe Alessi. The first album I got of Joe was The Illuminations with the T-Bone Concerto on it. So it's my favorite trombone piece because it was my first trombone CD. I still love the piece. I play it. So it's still my go-to piece in many ways. German brass was an ensemble that I always aspired. There is their album, Trumpets of Jericho, which was one of my first albums. I just listened to it all day. There is the D minor toccata by Bach that they recorded that just blew me away. Just whatever I could get my hands on it. I remember back then there was not so many videos, all this content that we are producing now. YouTube wasn't such a big deal. It was starting to happen. So you would occasionally see, I remember there was this quartet of female trombonists playing, I think, Stars and Stripes. I think it went all around the world when I was little. I think Carol actually played in that track, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Bones Apart.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just amazing. And that's why it's so cool to now go to an ITF, meet these people, be around these people. You know, it's just, that's what's aspired to do what I'm doing now. So it's just such a joy to be part of that family now that, you know, I always looked up to. So that's cool.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that we're the same age.
Yeah.
We were growing up at the same time. I definitely remember in middle school, my band director putting on that Bones Apart video.
Yeah, and the trills they were doing.
So
I
that's
was
possible.
Like, what is this? What? Really? This is like the piccolo part. What is going on? You know, it's just, it was eye-opening. And yeah, that was great.
You don't know it's possible until you hear somebody do it.
Yeah. I remember that the first time I heard Visions of Light by Joe performing with the Columbus State University Wind Band. I think it's on YouTube, and it's been there for, you know, since YouTube started, I think. And it's one of those videos that has like these 100,000 clicks and up. I think I'm like one of these 100,000. 10,000 clicks is definitely me, just because it's like 1 minute. It's just the last minute of the piece, but couldn't resist listening to that F over and over and over and over, and I still do it. I would say definitely a highlight was performing at the ITF in Muncie, Indiana. That was our first big, you know, big time playing at the ITF before we did some presentations. But, you know, if you get to play as one of the main artists in the main hall, a lot of people there, a couple hundred people, that was just very fun. It was definitely a highlight.
What is it like being a not trombone player right now?
It's cool. I really enjoy it because everybody thinks I play trombone. And I always have to say, no, I'm a pianist.
And how about you? Having fun?
Yeah, it's good. It's a lot of trombonists in one place, but it's good.
Is this your first ITF?
Nah, it's my third one.
Third one?
The first one where we actually have like a big showcase recital, and tomorrow another concerto night with the wind band, so it's the first big one for us.
I get the chills just thinking back. So I can't wait to be back at ITF this summer. I think the recordings of albums are always milestones, just because they are something that you can have in your hand at some point. You do it and, you know, it's physical, it's there. Your practice evolves over time, and it's very hard to grasp it. It's very hard to notice that you're improving or that you're not improving, whatever the situation is at. But CDs, it's something that, you know, you produce, you make it, you put so much time and effort into it, and then you print it, and then you have it in your hand. You might not be happy with it. You might not be happy with the way it looks, the way it sounds, but at least you have something in your hand that is very rewarding.
Where can people get the albums?
On all streaming platforms, or if you're at the concert, we always bring the CDs with us, but all major streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, they all have our albums. Just check out Peter Steiner and Constanze Huchwa.
So for me, I have about a 2-year window where I'm happy with my recordings. Where like I can look back a year and be like, yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. And look back 2 years and it's like, oh, there's stuff I would have done differently, right? How how far away is your window for that? Is it 15 minutes? Is it the day after you're like, yeah, I would have done that differently? Is it a year? Is it 10 years?
Usually the moment when I realized that I would have done things differently is the moment when I first listened to the edits, simply because
Yeah.
music and, the direction where you want to phrase, if you want to rest a little bit longer, if you want to stay longer on a note, that's just often a daily situation and a mood kind of thing. Yes, there's certain elements that I try and that we try to keep consistent. Tempi and where we go with the phrase in general, but still every day has a little bit different circumstance. So usually when we listen back to CDs and we start with the edits already, we start noticing what we're not so happy with. You just can't change your playing. You can't change the way you sound. You can't change the way you were hearing your intonation on that day. So usually it's very quick, the moment when a little disappointment creeps in, but you have to take that. You have to take that in and be fine with it, because otherwise, you probably just make one CD and then that's it.
Do you find now, going back and listening to the earlier stuff you did, that you actually have forgotten some of those things, and it's like you can actually enjoy it a little bit more, and it's like, oh, yeah, it wasn't as bad as I remember it being?
Absolutely, that's definitely also a different side, and which might kick in already a month after that you release it. You might hear a passage again, and you're like, oh, that didn't sound so bad. I remembered it worse. So, remembering some of those events, definitely throughout time, things change, and you listen back to it, and it doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, it's funny. Now that I'm talking to you about this, it really feels like it can do either.
Yeah.
I can look back at stuff that I thought was terrible and be pretty proud of it, and I can look back at stuff I was really proud of and be like, yeah, that's completely out of time and terrible.
But it's good to, it's good that it's there, and it's good to notice that it's just a recording of that moment. It's not a representation of you now. So, every time some of these thoughts cross my mind, I have to always just step back and say, look, it's okay. That was the best I could do at that point. So it's fine.
I made a decision about a year into producing videos that I was going to keep everything up. So you can go back and watch my first video from when I was a student, and that's terrifying, but it's a snapshot. Yeah. It's where I was in the progression.
Well, it's good. It's good to look back, and also for us to see some of the earlier contents of people. That's there's a lot of energy in some of those. Maybe maybe it's not so perfect or figured out yet, but there's some different things you can get from earlier videos or earlier recordings. So it's good that they're up there.
What are you looking forward to? I mean, you've got this big tour coming up.
Just being out in the world performing again. We have a busy summer coming up with various festivals around the world. Then we have an Asia tour. We have a big fall US tour, couple recordings in there. So just very exciting to look to the next months and be playing again.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, we are absolutely looking forward to having you. Again, this is at the International Trombone Festival this summer, July 13th through 16th at the University of Central Arkansas.
Yes.
You'll catch Peter and all of these other artists. So come on out. You can check everything out at trombonefestival.net. And where can they find you if they want to check out more of your stuff?
They can find me, first of all, at the ITF. They will find me at the Bach booth. I'll be showing my signature model, which will be available. And we are also going to release the new guard bag that we created for this model. So super exciting. So at ITF, please come to the performances or come to the Bach booth where I'll be most of the time. And other than that, just hop online, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, YouTube. Just type in my name. You will find me probably.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you
so much.
Being so generous with your time.
Anytime.
We'll see y'all at ITF.
Yes, sir.